Last time, we got started in Hexxit, defeating a few small dungeons and even a pirate ship, getting the resources we needed to challenge even bigger and harder dungeons. I started out by checking out this little hut, defeating the spawner and refilling on some resources. After wandering around a bit, I found a small pirate boat. I beat up the pirates and checked for loot. Not much to see here. I moved on to the next pirate ship, only to find there were no pirates. Instead, there were a bunch of monster spawners. A blaze lit the ship on fire, so I hastily destroyed the spawners and got out of there, heading towards a tower I saw in the distance. I reached shore, slept the night off, and entered the tower. Each floor comprised 2 spawners and a chest, with better items the closer I got to the top. I continued up, each floor containing tougher and tougher monsters. When I reached the top, there was just a small chest with minimal loot. I jumped down and continued my journey, finding a small pirate ship with barely any loot, and even a pig spawner. Next, I found a conspicuous looking stone structure, but seeing that the floor was made of gravel, I made sure to take some precautions. The trap activated and the gravel fell, leading into a pit containing monster spawners. I broke the spawners, checked for loot, and moved on. As it became morning, I saw another tower in the distance. Maybe this one would have some better loot? I approached the tower, which was settled in the middle of a desolate wasteland. I clambered my way to the top, defeating monsters and looting chests along the way. When I defeated the last of the spawners and tried to open this chest, it wouldn't open. Before I knew it, a giant golem blasted a hole through the ceiling and started attacking. I first used my crystal bow to chip away at its HP from the floor below, then finished it off with my diamond giant sword. As I went to collect the loot from the top, I realized the tower was collapsing. I briskly considered jumping out, but instead opted to rush down the stairs as the tower collapsed on top of me. I jumped down from one of the lower floors, then looked back at the destroyed tower behind me. With another good day's work finished, I sprint jumped off into the sunset. As night fell, I came across a castle-looking structure. It was a castle! I began picking off the skeleton archers with my bow, then circumnavigated the castle to look for an entrance. At last, I found a small trapdoor leading down to the waterlogged tunnels below the castle. Down there, I fought my way through the monsters that littered the dim, maze-like passageways. Eventually, I found some flowing water. This must be the way into the castle. I took out the skeleton guards, then as I was approaching the main tower, a horde of skeletons came rushing after me. I hastily climbed up the hedges lining the walls and started sniping them with my bow when a new enemy appeared. A Necromancer? He must be the one controlling the skeletons. Realizing my bow would be ineffective in dealing with the horde, I jumped down and began melee combat. The Necromancer was frail and weak to melee attacks, and eventually went down, bringing his skeleton army with him. This castle wizardscape seized from Lord Kanokara by the evil Necromancer. Hey, rude, I'm trying to read here. With the castle's inhabitants taken care of, I looked around the castle. This would make for a nice base. First, I had to clear out a spider infestation downstairs. Then I started prettying up the castle, placing down torches, planting some farms, and cleaning up the tower. The only thing I had to do next was deal with some noisy neighbors. I cleared out room after room of goblins, looting as I went. While climbing up through the atrium, I looked down at the floors below me. I was pretty high up. I finally emerged to find the boss, an orc with a goblin riding it. To make things worse, it was a special mob. It had the regen ability, meaning it would be much tougher to take down. I got some good hits in, but realized the freezerite sword I was using just wouldn't cut it. I rushed downstairs and hurriedly made a new diamond greatsword. Reunited once again with my weapon of choice, I was able to combo the boss into the corner and take it out. But, as soon as I did, the goblin riding it was set free. We exchanged blows, blocking and attacking in turn. Hit the enemy so hard he started glitching through the floor. The boss's remaining HP dwindled, and the fight was drawing to a close. With one final well-timed attack, the fight was over. The boss had dropped a Moonlight, a special sword that gave the user resistance when blocking. With the neighbors dealt with, I headed back to my new home and continued sprucing up the place. A new floor in the wizard tower, an enchanting room at the top, and plenty of storage. Next, I created some more farms. As the new ruler of this castle, I would turn it into a bountiful land. With renovations finished, I once again set off, in search of a new adventure. After a bit of travel, I found myself in the front of another battle tower. As usual, I fought through the floors and prepared to fight the golem at the top. Only, there was no golem, just some loot lying on the ground. I went back downstairs to find the golem had dropped down through the ceiling. I went back up again and found a spot where I could cheese the boss, and with the boss slain, I took the loot and left the tower as usual. I advanced further and kept looking for more unique and interesting dungeons, but all I found was another tower. And another one. And another one. And another one. Are you serious? At last, as I was climbing a snowy mountain, I found it. A massive castle, ready to be explored. for next time.